Welcome to Sebastian practice session number 57. We practice our motorcycle slow speed operation skills weekly here in Sebastian, Florida, using Robert Simmons' Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle 9 exercises, which contain invaluable on-road motorcycle skills. Everyone is welcome, regardless of skill level or riding experience. We narrate through the exercises so you can get a clear understanding of the intent of each exercise, our individual challenges with each exercise, and where we are looking to improve. We always have a great time, support each other, and get a little bit better every time we practice. Thanks for joining.
We are at practice session number 57, and it is again brisk out this morning. We got bundled up. We'll be taking layers off before the end of practice, but in the morning coming in, it's pretty chilly. So we have myself and Mike, of course, and then we have Rich, our other diehard practicer, and we've got Jeff. Jeff is from Vero, and we met him down at the Tampa Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle practice session. It's number 116. It's not out yet, so you can watch for that one. But we met Jeff down there, and he's a new rider. He's got a big bike. So we rode back from Tampa with him to Vero so he would be safe, and now he's coming to practice to work on his skills with us. We're super excited to have him here, and maybe a few others will show up late, but we're gonna get started and have some fun today. You know, it's probably good that we change these around so that we don't get so used to the same practice thing every time. It's like the codes are on the other side. It's different. We're on exercise 1. This is smooth starts and smooth stops. And the codes are on the other side now. We're throwing a wrench into things.
That clutch. You don't want to pull that clutch all the way in. See how she's not pulling the clutch all the way in? Staying in the friction zone, just inside the friction zone. There it is. Good. So today, watch the feet. So what we're seeing with Rich is he splits down and then it splits up. It may seem silly, but sometimes you see people drag their feet a little bit and allow their foot to stay on the ground until it's way back. As soon as you feel the moving, as soon as you're engaging
Jeff,
the
you
clutch,
want to go real
you're
slow.
picking that foot right up. There's Jeff. Good job. Nice job. So just working on keeping the RPMs up. Good. A little heavy in the clutch, nice and slow. A little quick on the launch, but we'll work on that. Dramatic improvement. Well, you can tell you've been practicing, brother. Hey, that's 100% better. Here's a tip. This is nice. Here's a tip, is the launch is a little bit hot. Like so you're into that friction point maybe a little too much. RPMs are gloriously perfect, like really great, nice and high. So the idea is, as Robert teaches, is when you let the clutch out to get moving, because I get why, you want to get moving, you don't want to have your foot up, and then you just tight, bring it in just a little bit to manage that speed a little bit. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Looks great though. Wow.
Sometimes it's easier for people to learn that have never done this before, or most experienced riders are unlearning bad habits. This is me on Fred, and I had to unlearn coasting to the stop, front braking at slower speeds.
So we're focusing today on bringing the foot up right as you start to move. Let me demonstrate kind of what not to do that is a common thing that is easy to do. Here we go. Right, your foot's back. So what we want to do is just lift the foot right up as we start to feel the takeoff. We got power. Lift that foot up. And then when we stop, putting it down, right? It's not landing gear. It goes down right after we take off. And right after we stop. Make sense?
Just working on the stopping, the timing of that stopping. It's really muscle memory. Once you kind of get it, it sinks in, but now it's just a little bit cumbersome and clunky for someone trying to learn these steps.
This is exercise 2, the slow ride, and we don't use the rear brake on this one.
So as we always say, you want to be going slow enough so you're having to correct with those handlebars. So you're learning how the bike moves at such a slow speed that you have to correct. RPM's nice and high, rear brake wins, set your foot down. Watch the foot come up, good. Same thing, Rich does a nice job. Super slow. Maybe hard to see, but watch his clutch hand. Do that, just kind of tweaking it in and out, just to keep enough power in it. Pulled it a little hard, but all right. A little bit of a rough stop there, Rich, unlike Rich, but everyone has them. Oh, oh. So now we're doing a slow ride, just going slow, yep. If you can, I mean, you can do the stop and starts all you want, right? But just for now, if you can, try not to depend on the rear brake, but if you need it, use it. Does that make sense? Yep. Good, slow down. Okay, something to work on there. All right, we'll talk about that. So something to talk about here is, I don't know if you noticed, but when I started moving and I had a little too much speed, so I pulled the clutch all the way in, which is not what you want to do ideally. You don't want to do that. Because when it came time for more power, when it came time to re-engage that clutch, because this exercise is in and out of the friction point to keep you going, we're not using the rear brake, I was too far away from the friction point because I had pulled the clutch all the way in. So there was that minute of something not right because it took just a hair too long to get into the power. Does that make sense? So that's why you always want to keep that clutch kind of right at that friction point when we're in these exercises. You really never, like until you're stopping, pull it all the way in. All right?
A little too fast there. See, he's not having to correct with his handlebars. He needs to slow that down. You see that side to side a little bit. That indicates that you're going just slow enough.
Smooth stop. Exercise 3, trust and believe. Make sure you're in first gear. Cover the rear brake. Bring the throttle up to 2,000. Find your friction point.
What up?
And then come to a smooth stop.
You were moving. Try it again.
Hang on.
Nice. Nice, Rich. Okay, so you remember this one or no? Yeah.
I tried to forget it.
So I would just, here's the key, brother, is this is perfect because you're not all the way in. You're like right at the grab. Follow me, right at the grab. As soon as you pull your foot up, like you're keeping the RPMs at 2,000 or you know, up, as you do. As soon as you pick your foot up, that's the first practice, is start letting that out. People wait too long to let that clutch out. That's why it gets crazy. That's just me. I'm just sharing that with you. So do what you want with it. What up? All right. We'll talk, as Robert says, we'll talk about it. First gear. Covering the rear brake. Watch the clutch. Go right inside the clutch. Head and eyes forward.
Foot up.
Sometimes Fred just stands up.
No, you love this one. Foot up. Foot up. So we'll stop. Or not.
How bad did I cheat on that?
Not bad. So here's the thing to know about these drills. I'll get on this side so the sun's behind me. But the first one, we're going to keep our tire, right, our front wheel right level with each cone.
Okay.
So we don't want to pass the cone. And the reason for that is because we want to know where that front tire is at all times, because a lot of these other exercises, wheel placement is a big deal.
Okay.
And
I wasn't
then,
even looking at that.
yep, that's just, I want to just review some of these things. And then exercise 2, we don't use the rear brake at all. And we are just using the clutch. So you're just in and out of the clutch. So Robert went through these positions, 0, 1, and 2. So I'm just going to cover that quickly with you.
Yeah.
0 is right before the grab, so right before the engagement point. 1 is at the grab, so it starts to move your bike a little bit.
Okay. Right.
And then, yep, and then 2 is just past the grab,
Okay.
but not all the way out.
Not all the way out.
Right, so then what we're doing is we're working between 0, 1, and 2 in all the 1, 2, actually all the exercises we're doing today. You never let the clutch all the way out, right? Obviously you know that. And we are always in either 0, 1, or 2. So exercise 2, without using the rear brake, what we're doing there is we're working between 0, 1, and 2. If we get going a little too fast, we pull it to 0. If we get going too slow, we put it in 1. If we need a little bit more power, we need to go to 2. And then back to 1.
You at 0, 2, then 1?
I don't do that, but a lot of people do.
Okay.
So if you feel comfortable with the bike standing right up, then you can go to 2, 0 to 2, and then back to 1 immediately. But it will get you going kind of fast.
Right.
And then you got to slow down, so you got to go back to 0 while you're going.
Right.
And then you're like, I don't know if I like that. So then you go back to 1. So what I try to do, and it helps me with exercise 4, the right and left turns that we're going to do now, is if I start from 0 and I go into 1, it just gets the bike creeping, but not too fast. But if I don't get the bike creeping, I go wide here on the right and left turns.
Do you experience a big RPM drop when you open up the clutch and let's say
No, because I keep it at 2,000 RPMs.
you can keep going?
So I keep it at 2,000 RPMs. You have it a little bit higher than that, but that's fine when you're new and you're a little bit nervous about it, because the higher the better, right? Because you know it's going to keep your bike up. But as you start to get more comfortable with that, you're going to notice that you can bring it down a little bit. So 2,000 RPMs is a nice level to keep it when you're starting. And then when it drops down a little bit, it's still at least 1,800, 1,500, and it's not gonna tip.
And you feel like you don't do anything extra with the throttle once you have it already
I try to keep the throttle set.
Okay.
But again, you're going to, you know, maybe you let off a little bit because you're kind of thinking about something else, and then you're like, oh, wait, I need a little bit more throttle. So you will be moving the throttle a little bit, but once you really have the clutch control, the throttle you can keep the same. So again,
Make a little mistake, there may be an adjustment.
yes,
there.
yes. But if you're, that's why we're doing this second exercise with no brake. So because you're going all that way with no foot on the brake, you're not covering the rear brake. So then at the end you do a smooth stop. So that means you have to go from the board to the brake and still keep it smooth.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That is tough.
Okay, so that's why we practice that. And it's also to show you why dragging it is so important. Right? So dragging the brake means you're not going to go from the board to the brake, so you're not going to hit it hard. Right? And then the third exercise, you're doing everything the same except for you're putting your clutch right at 0. And then you're waiting for the signal foot up. And then when you put your foot up, you're waiting to feel the bike tip a little bit. And it's that like 1 second hesitation before you let that clutch into position 1. And you can even let it into position 2 if you're nervous. But you can put it into position 1 or 2 and then bring it back so that you can make the smooth stop right after you do the go.
Okay.
So there's a smooth, yeah. The smooth stop comes after you get it upright and going, and then you do a smooth stop. So it's always to keep the bike in complete, you're in 100% control the whole time the bike is moving.
Yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah. So exercise 4, we do, as you know, we go straight through. Then we stop and we take the turn. And then we stop and then we stop at the end. Right? So there's 3 iterations that we do, but we go through each one multiple times sometimes, because if you don't get it right, you want to do it again. So you don't have to do just 3 times through. We'll do several times through. And we're working on leveling up these skills a little bit, so we go close to the cone, not in the center, or off to the right if you're going left.
Okay.
And then we go over the white line. And then,
The easiest is to get as far on the angle to the left, let's say if you're going to the right.
yes, yes. The easiest way is to stay to the right if you're going left, stay to the left if you're going right. But then you can move to the middle, and then you can move to the inside. And it's really hard to do. So I mess that up all the time. I knock the cones over all the time. And I'm just working on it. But then there's also one where we do it brakeless. So that one is I'm still working on a lot. So we do that one as well. So if you see us going through several times,
Yeah.
it's because we're working on something that's leveled up a little bit.
Some new nuance.
Yeah, but you can just do the straight through, the stop and straight through, and then the stop and the stop.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And that would be fine. Any
And
questions?
if I can't, I'll just keep the bike in motion, you know.
Yeah, if you can't make the turn, you just go out of the exercise. There's no no curb, no sand, no anything like there was in Tampa, right?
Yeah. I think I was heading straight towards the sand.
Yeah, there's nothing in the way. You can go right out of the exercise, no problem,
Yeah.
if you get scared. The most important thing, though, is if you do feel like you're not doing it right or you're tipping or something, is avoid putting your foot down at all costs. Go out of the exercise first.
Okay.
Let the clutch out. So learn that letting the clutch out is what's going to upright the bike versus putting your foot down. Putting your foot down is like the absolute last resort. Going out of the exercise is better than putting your foot down. Okay?
Yep.
So let that clutch out.
Done.
Awesome. All right, we're going to get started.
Okay, here's 3.5 minutes of left turns. We do these left turns for 20-25 minutes probably in total, depending on the number of attendees, but this is certainly enough to deliver what we're thinking and the intent of the exercise. So again, this exercise is turning lefts and rights straight up Nothing about these exercises are centrifugal force or leaning. We're not to the leaning portions yet of the 9 exercises. So what we're after is using what we learned in exercises 1, 2, and 3, and we're simply turning straight up, maintaining the power so it doesn't feel like we're going to flop over. You got the proper friction point, proper RPMs, load it and keep it loaded. A little bit of rear brake drag, and that'll stand that bike right up. So we work on some variance here. It's hard to see from this angle, but sometimes we hug the inside cone a little bit. Sometimes we're going brakeless. That one, I actually coasted. I did not keep it loaded, and I stalled the bike.
No power. That's what happens. Still need power.
So what Jeff's working with is keeping it loaded, keeping it in the power. He doesn't quite trust and believe it yet. He'll get it. So we want to have head and eyes looking left all the way to the camera. It looks like Lori's looking down a little bit. She's usually excellent with the head and eyes. She is leveling up that exercise. That's why she keeps bumping that inside cone. She's right on the inside cone. Head and eyes excellent.
Get it.
It's taken a little bit too long to get that turn started. Sometimes it just doesn't feel right, but you got to get those handlebars turned right away. I'm going brakeless here, so it carries me forward. I need to work on moving those handlebars over earlier as well. Jeff just doesn't believe it yet. He's in there, man. He's taking his reps. He's got to load it a little bit more, and he's got to drag that brake a little bit more to slow him down so he can be comfortable turning. Oop.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to correct. Reset. It's that gentle takeoff that you got to get. You got to get your foot up right away. It's a little bit of dexterity, kind of that fine motor skill stuff. Great head and eyes. So you're reaching over on the right a little bit. We're counter sitting. So what that means is when you're taking a left, you're actually got your butt a little bit onto the right of the bike because you're turning left and you're standing that bike straight up and down. So it looks like this time I'm hugging that left cone a little bit. We'll see how it goes. So I'm late in the turn. See that? So that's why I am across the line. Okay, not good. Got to get inside the lanes.
I'll do it.
Right, so you see that Lori went quite a ways straight. She made it. Looked like she made it, but the theme today apparently is get those handlebars turned earlier. Off to right, same exercise. When we look at this, we think about taking a right turn on a 2-lane road, and across that far dotted line of cones is oncoming traffic. Traffic's coming at us, so not desirable to cross that line into the face of oncoming cars or trucks. So we really got to get good. There's a real serious element to what we're doing here because this is building real world on-road skills. Nice. Look at that. Right close to the middle, not quite in the middle. But you see there's real control there. Rich has full control of his motorcycle at slow speed. Nice, a little bit high.
So much room on this side.
Lori likes rights better than lefts. Let's slow into the intersection. Nice, easy right. Beautiful. Head and eyes. Look at my head and eyes. What am I looking at? Oh boy, I was trying brakeless, but you can't be looking down. Like you gotta look ahead of where you're going. Head and eyes first, then handlebars. Lori's still working on that too.
Right side just.
We're all working on lots of stuff. There he is, looking over. Watch for those head and eyes. Pulling it over. Nice job, Rich. Jeff likes rights better than lefts as well. Not quite there yet, but he's getting there. Just needs to hold that power a little bit harder, and he'll start to believe that he can turn that thing. Stand it up. Look over. Oh, boy.
And not enough power. So that'll happen sometimes.
Nice and slow. A little bit high still. That turn a little bit earlier. Nice smooth stop. Head nice, beautiful. Turn it. Yep, a little late on the turn. Nice smooth stop. Excellent clutch control. That's really what we're after. Work on that clutch control. Jeff is almost there. Trust it and believe it. I have no idea what I was doing there. I think I was just creeping out a little bit. I think Lori's going the inside there. Just makes it.
Hard with no brake.
Oh. So Rich had a little bit of a quick launch. He's still working with his new clutch a little bit, but you could see him lurch forward a little bit. We want to just have that nice, smooth takeoff, a balanced launch. There he is. Oh, so close. Got to work on the head and eyes. Wheel placement across. A bit of a level up. Look at the camera, Mike. Head and eyes. Bit of a slow learner, this guy. There we go. There we go. Look at him looking over like he's supposed to. There it is.
Pumping the brake a little bit, but I'll take it.
I think Lori's going brakeless. Yep.
When we do it over here, I can set up more cones, so we have more cones for the week.
The mantra is start wide, stay wide. Like, don't worry about what you see Rich and us doing, but the idea is you're starting wide and you're just trying to, this is the beginning of practicing that leaning just a little bit. But the idea is
Start wide, stay wide.
don't worry about speed. Don't really worry
Always
about
got that in mind.
If you blow one, just blow it and then come back. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about it. Just a little bit of
Eyes are straight ahead. We want our eyes looking forward, straight ahead at the camera. Always a challenge. We're not looking at the cones. So we see Jeff here. He's steering a little bit. So Jeff's really wanting to get more used to leaning the bike. Leaning is something that a lot of new riders are afraid of. This is a particular challenge for me. This is, I don't know, probably my weakest exercise. I just got to get faster with the transitions, with the moving it to the left and to the right, moving those handlebars, faster transitions. Lori could be a little wider here. Looks really good, though. She's good. It's not about speed. It's just about smoothness and staying wide and working with the leaning of the bike.
keep it wide. Good, good. Yeah, really good.
For a level up, we can use no rear brake. You can also move the cones closer, which we do later on in our exercises. Cones right now are 15 feet wide. Motor officer distance is 12 feet. Again, it's friction point, it's clutch control, it's having that power available right when you need it. to pull you through. We're not coasting through the cones. We want that clutch and that bike, that sufficient power to the rear wheel to pull us through this and every exercise. Why is this exercise important? What are we doing this for? We want to make sure that we're always staying present to what this teaches us on the real world scenario. Something's in the road. There's a log, there's a rock, there's a turtle, there's an animal in the road. At some speed, this is not super fast, but at some speed, how are we going to move our motorcycle around that obstacle? There's a number of exercises that teach us this. The single serpentine is an excellent one. Are we leaning and moving our bodies around so we can avoid an obstacle in the road? Definitely a real world practice. Very valuable. The infamous U-turns. So a lot to be said for the U-turns. Again, building everything we do before this point builds into the U-turns. U-turns are famously difficult for motorcycle riders to do, especially at any degree of turn, not 40-foot U-turns. The cones, the orange cones side to side, are 27 feet. The little green cones there are 18 feet. So what we're looking for is the ability to do a U-turn on the average country road, which is 24 feet. So somewhere in between that green cones and the orange cones. So what we're doing is same thing, loading and keeping it loaded. Got to have sufficient power to the rear wheel. A little bit of rear brake drag, and we're into that friction point. We're counter-sitting some. I personally counter-sit a lot. I figured that out. Counter-sitting is moving your butt and a little bit of weight, maybe your head and shoulders off to the right as you're taking a left-hand U-turn. Again, Jeff's just got to trust and believe it. He's got to load it a little bit more and drag that brake. So I'm over to the right. I'm a little bit beyond that 18. I want to hit that 18 every time. I can do it, and I want to be able to do it every single time. Rich is working with this clutch. Rich actually had the 18s down, redid the clutch, and I get it, because when it grabs and bites differently, that means everything. That's how important that friction point management is. If that grabs on you and shoots you forward, a little bit of a complicating factor. So we run through them without stopping 2 or 3 times. There's the 18.
Really working on head and eyes today.
And then we stop
I get the teaching,
and go, and then we stop at the beginning and stop at the end. So we want a smooth U, a balanced or an even U-shaped turn, right? We don't want to go straight forward to the center and then dive it in to make the 18. Everything's smooth, everything's small inputs, full control at slow speed. This is not a speed exercise, although we do want to have enough speed to lean the motorcycle.
Every time I throw it, I get goofy.
Now we're into the stops. A little bit of lean.
Better.
Get us around to that 18. Also super important is head and eyes. Lori's always really good at that. I am not. I'm always not really good at that. So always something to work on. But as you start the turn, even before you start the turn, we need to get our head and eyes looking to where we're going. Head and eyes need to go. I get it over, but it's a little bit late, and that's not ideal. Rich just needs a lean.
On the turn.
Gotta lean that fat boy over a little bit. There's a nice lean. That is a beautiful one. Lori on her 2017 Street Glides Special. Jeff's gonna get it. Kind of hard to see there, but I'm really trying to work on different things. But I'm working on getting my
A little short stop there because I wanted to see if I
think
could
you're
stop
still
like that
focused on
and
the cones.
fix the cone.
Look at the camera.
I'm getting my head and eyes around. You notice Rich doing this. Watch him when he does the double offset serpentine. He is leaning that bike all the way to the boards. So it's a slow speed thing for Rich. Really nice. See how she got into that early on her street glide named Sugar. Beautiful white metal flake paint. Crushed ice pearl. Jeff's got to get some reps. He's going to get it around. Now we're off to the right turns. Just like with right and left turns, exercise number 4, we have stronger and weaker sides. I am weaker on my rights. Head and eyes around. Lean and commit. See, my body goes to the left as I take that turn. Gonna counter sit. That helps me make that 18. Nothing wrong with counter sitting. Keep that weight on top of the bike. So Lori chopping the 18. It might sound crazy. This is where we want to practice in the parking lot, but those big cones, there's something mental about them, man. It freaks me out a little bit. If those cones, those orange cones were little tiny green ones, I'd be crushing that 18 just like Rich would too. But you see those big cones and you just get nervous about hitting them. And you know what it does? It sucks you into them. You're looking at those cones, man. You just cannot look at the cones. That's why head and eyes. Your head and eyes are going. You want your head and eyes to be where you want to go, not where you don't want to go. Now we're into the stops. It really is a whole different animal when you're stopping from a stop, when you're taking off and you're dipping into a tight right U-turn. It's just using what you know, what we've learned in the previous exercises. Rich is rolling. He's not stopping. So watch for the head and eyes. You want to commit to that turn right away. The sooner you start on that turn, the easier it is. A lot of riders, myself included, tend to want to wait just a couple of seconds, and that brings you too far wide. So I got a good lean to start there. You can kind of see that. Just barely make it. Here's Jeff back in the game. Shift that body weight to the left a little bit. Get it over. Could have started that one a little bit earlier.
I think you're going too
Wouldn't have been so
slow.
close to the cones there.
Yeah, you're going too slow. Don't stop. Just go right through. And turn your head and eyes first.
See, Jeff's tailing that off. He needs to snap that turn off and start it a little bit sooner. Close.
So close.
Now we're stopping at the beginning and stopping at the end. Just more of the same, more friction control. Get it down, get it turned. Now you're into friction brake, nice smooth stop.
My foot got stuck on my board somehow. I don't know. Took an extra
Let's say you do a U-turn and there is a car coming, some cross traffic coming. You're into the U-turn, that's why you gotta have your head and eyes up so you can see what's coming. You get a nice smooth stop. There's
You got it.
almost always something you can do.
Dig it, dig it, dig it. Turn it, turn it, turn it.
Jeff just gets way late starting this turn.
Oh, so close.
So close. Exercise 7, the figure eights, combines everything we've learned up to this point, puts it together in really what is successive U-turns, a left U-turn and a right U-turn. The focus in this exercise is the transition speed. So it's really key for her to hold that turn right here, hold it, hold it, hold it until the transition, hold it all the way around. So Lori is using 2 parking spaces wide. We encourage using all the real estate for newer people just to get a sense for the sweeping motion that this exercise teaches. The most common mistake is giving up too early out of that turn. Holding that turn all the way until you transition left is really important. So you're holding it until the last minute, then transitioning that head and eyes and the handlebars over. Here comes Rich. Rich is excellent at this. Watch how Rich will lean here as compared to the U-turns. He really gets it down. He'll drag his boards a few times, but he understands this exercise. You can really measure it by looking at that white line right there. Where he's on that line, he stays on that line until he has to transition. It's an excellent exercise for really just, again, kind of redundant, but that's the genius of the progression of the exercises. You're in the clutch friction point, you have the thing loaded, and you're keeping it loaded. A little brake drag, there Rich stands it up a little bit, that's a little bit of an add-on, a level up. But everything's smooth, everything moves, small inputs, leaning it over, getting a nice, smooth turn. Way inside 2 spots there. Which means each parking space in this lot is about 9.5 feet, so that's, he's well inside of 19 feet there.
The worst thing that can happen, here's the worst thing that can happen. You can go out of the exercise. That's it. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to stay.
Rich taking another run at it.
What Robert had to do is go to 2. Right, the whole thing is 27 feet wide. Do a huge wide one and go outside the box if you have to. You'll be just outside the box.
Getting the flow, the rights and the lefts.
Yeah, each time.
Getting your body weight moved over, getting the bike moved over. Again, this is excellent practice for real world situations when you need to avoid obstacles, really have complete control of your motorcycle. Lori taking another run. Excellent, nice and tight, head and eyes. Look at head and eyes moving over. Really good. Textbook. Well inside of the 2. So that's, it's a solid 18-foot U-turn as she brings it around.
My transitions aren't good. I gotta come out of the transition before I stop.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
So a bit of a level up there is to bring it to a complete stop before transitioning the other direction. Again, not necessary, not a core part of the exercise. Bit of a level up. Robert asks us to do that every once in a while. We're still working on ironing that one out. Rich is the best of all of us at doing that.
You want to come in?
Here's Rich jumping in. Just a little more fun. Nothing more than that. The exercise is exactly the same. It's just the practices, the rules don't change. The exercise is the same regardless of if there's someone directly in front of you or someone chasing you through the exercise. It just makes it more fun. So inside those two parking spaces, that's great. Rights are a little bit wider, as is typically the case. My lefts are tighter than my rights. Trying to get that down, trying to get head and eyes better. I'm trying to hold it up there, get a little stop and go.
I got stuck in it. I got stuck in a full
Went out
lock.
of the exercise. Just working on the clutch control, that's all that is. A little more clutch control, a little more brake control. Trying to bring it around. Exercise 8, the double offset serpentine. This is a really fun exercise. It's definitely a participant favorite. Rich loves this one. This is just a series of S turns, so a little bit wider, as you can see, than the figure 8. All of the rules and principles are the same. Load it and keep it loaded. You have sufficient power to the rear wheel. Working with that clutch control, working into that friction point, and holding that turn, making nice S curves. Rich wants to bring that back so you can hit that gate straight through. So again, Rich will lean sufficiently, really, to the maximum that his motorcycle will do to get around these cones. Look at that lean, nice. If he did that one on the U-turns, he'd be smoking the 18. Again, just a little more fun to have two bikes rolling through that. It makes a difference when you know someone's right behind you or you're trying to follow someone. It's just mental, just a little bit of a level up. Making sure you're holding the same line. See, Lori got a little bit inside at that last one. Really you want to hold that S turn. And when you hit that gate, you want to be going straight through the gate. See that? So hold it right, then transition left. So we're working on transitions. You're holding it right, transition left. And you stay in that left turn until you're all the way around. The big mistake here is riders will come through a gate and go straight to the next gate, not the exercise. It's all S turns. Here's Fred with Rich chasing him. Boy, it looks a lot slower than it feels when you're doing it, that's for sure. But it's a really good exercise. Again, for you're moving your body from left to right, you're moving your head and eyes left to right. Head and eyes before handlebars in every exercise. Working on a nice tight U-turn here. So hook it, transition. So you're holding it all the way, now transition. So you're kind of going in the opposite direction just for a second, then you're transitioning. That's the exercise. I need to work on my transition speed, as always. And I could speed that up a little bit. It's not really emphasized speed in this exercise. It's more smoothness and smooth transitions. Laura's working now on brakeless, so going through this without her rear brake. She's practicing for a lock and lean course in April. It's our understanding that there's the first day, or the first part of the first day, is all brakeless, so she's trying to get out ahead of that. Does a nice job with that. I'll tell you, it makes a big difference. It is significantly harder, in my opinion, to do it that way, but really good practice.
Harder without the brake.
A lot of emphasis on the friction point, that clutch friction point. You got to get that just right, because you need that pulling you through. This is not a coast through exercise. I can't think of any that are.
See how unsteady my throttle is without the brake?
Another brakeless run. Smooth transitions, rights to lefts, and holding it. Just right.
It takes discipline. Exercise 9 is the Snowman. So this is the final exercise in the sequence, last exercise of the day. It is a series of circles, of 4 circles, that again takes everything we've learned and applies it here. So this is certainly more focus on using the real estate, watching your wheel placement, managing your front tire placement. You want to hug those cones all the way around, regardless of how big the circle is.
And we're working on some transitions. Always something to work on here. So Lori keeps a lot of speed, and then she shaves it off here. The mantra is hug 'em, lean, and commit. Placement, hug 'em, commit. That's it. Placement, hug 'em, commit. That's beautiful wheel placement.
Way inside that one. Wow.
So the exercise is to go all the way up, all the way down, clean. But now Lori's changing directions. We want to run it. We ideally would like to run it up and down clean, in both directions. Really good wheel placement. Cuts a little bit early, but yeah, nice. Lori is very good with Sugar the Street Glide. Really good wheel placement. Maybe a little fast on the outside, but I believe she made it through that 18.
All right, don't go yet, Rich. I'm going to fix the cones.
As we've said many times, Rich is our most consistent attendee to our practice sessions. A lot of fun to hang out with, a lot of fun to practice with. The fat boy that he rides is a Softail, and all that means is the suspension's a little bit different, and the lean angle is a little bit less, a tiny little bit less than the touring bikes. So with all that said, and Rich's new clutch, he is yet to hit that 18. In all his practices, man, we want it so bad for him. And he doesn't really seem to care. He just has fun practicing with us. We'll get it when he gets it. See, he's too slow. He's way too slow. He needs to hit that with a lean. It's a bit of a mental game. Here we're measuring that off. The cones were actually too narrow. They were too close. 18's hard enough. To have it be 16 and a half or 17 is a little extra hard. So we get them straightened out here just in short order for Fred to give it a run. So you can see I'm trying to get on the high side there. That's called counter sitting, just trying to counter sit. I'll tell you, when you get that right, at least in my experience, doing these tight circles or turns or maneuvers is much, much easier. Get that balance right, a little drag on the brake, just a right friction point in the clutch. Get that commitment right there. Just hitting that last cone. That last cone. If that last cone didn't count, I'd be having 18 top of the snowman success quite often, but it does count. So there's a little bit better wheel placement. I just blow that second half of that. There it is. That's a good one. It's a lot of reps, a lot of practice. For me there, the key is the body position. It's where I'm putting my butt, where I'm putting my body. I'm going to really get over onto the right side of it when I'm doing those lefts, and vice versa. I get a few clean ones there. So now we hop in from the different direction. Try to hold it up and make that second circle. One of my challenges too was I was going too fast at the top of the snowman. You saw that last one where I just sort of checked up on that. Here is where I changed directions. Just for an FYI, this is practice session 57. We have done this 57 times. And this particular practice session was the first time that I had successfully negotiated the top of the snowman in both directions. So anyone that still might be watching this after an hour into it and feels like this seems like a special magic talent that you could never learn, 57 times it took me to figure that out in both directions. So stay with it, get a little bit better every time, and eventually we'll get it all figured out.
So then you gotta, it's called commit, but you gotta commit. You gotta have that clutch just right when you commit, right? Because you saw a few times when it's like it wasn't right, and I had to.
And then you were adjusting.
That's when.
And thankfully you know what those adjustments are.
Well, that's when all the practice from trust and believe comes in. It's that muscle memory of when you start to feel.
How it stacks up, right?
Yeah. That's the brilliance of the lessons in the order that they're in my opinion.
Yeah, I come into the thing a little bit too hot. So I'm coming in too fast. So I have to slow down before I get to the 2 o'clock position.
Always the mistake is not like Lori, when I was doing it, Lori was like, we know the signals now. She's like, this way, because you can't, like Rich was doing it, hug him, and then you start, because it's a little circle. You want to start, like the inclination is to go for the gate and start the turn, right? But you got to wait, because if you start the turn here, you'll never make it there. So it's like really hug the.
Yeah, it's placement, hug them, commit.
Yep.
So wheel placement all the way along, then hug them all the way and commit to the lean at the top. So we just finished up practice session number 57. We had a good time. We realized that our top of the snowman was a little bit tight. So we remeasured it and put it at 18 feet. So now we're practicing at the true 18 feet. Sometimes I think it's better to practice with it a little bit tight because then you know when you can do the 18. But anyway, it didn't really improve. Mike was able to get it done in both directions, which was awesome because we probably were practicing before with it at 18 feet, and then we moved the cones in a little bit as we've been setting up. And so we remeasured, put them all at 18 feet, and worked at that again. So it was a good practice, and we're looking forward to Saturday's practice. We should have some friends. We've got Andy, who is the North Carolina Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle ambassador, coming down with his girlfriend Michelle, and they're going to come and practice with us on Saturday. So we should have a good group of people. And as always, practice with purpose so you can ride with confidence. And we practice so we can fear our motorcycle less, to enjoy the experience of motorcycling more.